What makes you better for this role than other candidates? So that right there is a level 202 interview question. They're not just asking you why you're a fit for this or why you're qualified anymore. They're asking you why you are better than other candidates. But like with any interview question, with the right strategy, the right approach, you can beat this interview question too. And today I'm gonna teach you how to do just that. Let's go. I'm Ben White with Ben Talks Talent. I've got 11 years experience in recruiting, talent acquisition, and team building. And I am passionate about using my experience to help you become the best candidate possible and land your next job. If you're new here, do me a favor, take 3 seconds and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my videos. I drop 2 to 3 a week. And if you are not new, well, hey, welcome back. Today I want to talk about a really interesting interview question. It's one that I happen to like a little bit. I don't use it that often, but I have in the past, and I think it's a fun one to discuss. Why are you better qualified for this role than other candidates? Let's start with the why. I love starting with why with interview questions because it helps you kind of craft your answer knowing why someone would ask it. So they want to know why you're uniquely qualified, right? What is your differentiator? As a candidate, you have to assume that everyone who is interviewing for a role is probably qualified. Some are going to be more qualified than others. Some are going to be really strong, while other people are kind of maybe at a different point in their career. But the baseline expectation during any economy is if they are interviewing with the team, they are probably qualified. And if we can all assume that, then it benefits you to figure out how you are more qualified. How are you uniquely qualified? What is it about you that makes you special? And that's what they are getting at when they ask this question. So to start, that's what you need to be thinking when you're formulating your answer here. The next thing I want to talk about is why is this challenging, okay? So we know the why here, but the challenging part is they're asking you to do 2 things in one interview question. The first one is they want you to sell yourself, right? They want you to sell your qualifications, why you're qualified, why you're a good fit, why you'd be a good hire, right? The second part of this is you don't know who you're being compared to. If someone asked me, Ben, why are you better than this person who you've never met? I can't really answer that question, right? Because I don't know. I don't know what they have. I might say something and they have that exact same thing. So what they're asking you to do here is talk about yourself and then also talk about why you're more qualified than someone who, maybe you've never met before, which is challenging. That being said, again, there's a strategy to this. Before we get to that, I want to start with just the beginning, right? The foundational piece here. I want you to start with the foundation of why you were qualified, right? Whatever it is that makes you a good fit for this role, you need to start there. I'm gonna, pretend it's me. Well, I'm qualified because I've got 11 years experience in talent acquisition. I've also led and built teams. I have 5 years experience in talent acquisition management, both in a corporate and agency environment. So what I did there was I laid a foundation. I talked about my experience, why I would be a good fit for the role. I've done this, I've done this. This is what, is just kind of a basic thing here. You might want to follow that up with, here is where I thrive. Here is some of the things that I happen to be really good at and some of the things I've accomplished, right? That is your foundation, talking about your experience and how you have moved the needle for other organizations in similar roles. Now you need to get to the second part. Now the second part is you need to identify what is your differentiator, right? So what is it that makes you different and special and that most people who would be interviewing for this job will not have? So for me, right, one of the things that I might say is, I've done my role in recruiting in both the corporate side and the agency side, right? So I've been a third-party recruiter and dealt with clients, but I've also sat in that corporate seat. So I know what people in the corporate recruiter seat are dealing with, and I understand both facets of the roles, what is challenging. So for someone in my seat, that allows me to see the role or the position from different angles. What is that about you? So it could be a variety of industries maybe you've worked in. Maybe you did a career move in which you transferred verticals, but the stuff you did in your first career makes you really, effective at your new seat, or it gives you a different perspective most people won't have the benefit of. Maybe you speak a second language. Maybe you are highly qualified for your role because of a higher level education or certification. Whatever it is, you need to find something that makes you different from most people who do what you do, and that is the second part of this question. Some of the people who are interviewing for this might have that. It is impossible for you to know what people will or will not have, but the best thing you can do is identify what makes you the most unique, what about you is most likely to be a unique contributing factor to your success, and that is the second half. Part one, establish qualifications and the way you've moved the needle, so quantify your impact. If you can do that in part one, that's huge. Part two is identify your unique factor and how it makes you more effective in the role. So that's part one and part two, and really, that is what you were trying to accomplish. The last thing that I think makes sense to think about when it comes to this interview question is what can you infer? You know, when they ask you this question, when they go, Ben, why are you more qualified than other candidates? What does that tell you? Well, to me, it probably tells me that there is stiff competition for this role, right? If they're asking you, why are you better than all these other candidates, that is not a question that gets asked when you are super niche or when there is not a lot of competition. You know, when I'm recruiting for a welding engineer, I don't ask that welding engineer, what makes you better than other people? You exist. There are not that many of you. That's what makes you better, right? But if you were asked this question, it probably means there is stiff competition. And well, I don't know if that helps you necessarily with answering this interview question. I think strategically it makes sense for you to know that, right? It means maybe don't put all your eggs in this basket because this is a competitive basket. It also lets you know that you want to be on your A game, which you should always want to do. Never go into an interview saying, B game sounds good today. But I just think it's good to know, right? It is always good to have more information than less information, and that also is true here. So there you have it. That is how you answer this interview question. Again, set the foundation of why you are qualified and then identify and convey your unique factor that makes you special for the role. If you can do those two things, you will nail this interview question. Thank you for taking the time to sit with me today and talk through this. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, leave likes and comments too. I always appreciate that. And if you have any questions, I love interacting there. But thank you again. Good luck in your next interview. You've got this.